This has been one hell of an anime season. Netflix finally stepped up their game, we played a lot of shogi, got played by a lot of lesbians, spent 12 weeks pretty hungry or hungover, and by the end of this long dark winter, we have come out of it with 5 shows that stand head and tails above the rest. In my opinion, because you know, you could have hated all of these, but we are going to start my top 5 off with a little slice of comedy that became my Monday night respite.
騙されるか。高木さんがそんな顔に出すわけないんだから。くそー、バカにして。この勝負全力で勝つ。もっと集中して表情を見る。
I really liked Karakai Jozu no Takagi-san, or Skilled Teaser Takagi-san, but it was never really given an English name, probably because in English it sounds a little bit lame, but in Japanese it makes total sense. Karakai, which is the noun for teasing or banter, and then Jozu, which uses the kanji for above and the kanji for hand, which you can think of it like an upper hand, so I'm skilled, aka the word means skilled or clever, and then you've got no, which is the possessive particle, and Takagi-san, which is one of our main characters' names. So then you get Karakai Jozu no Takagi-san, and you didn't ask for a Japanese lesson in this anime top 5, but you got one, and this anime, well, it got me. Which is interesting, because if you know me or have watched anything on my channel, I always bang on about plot and world building, but I'm also a huge fan of character-driven stories, which is what this anime is at its heart. The premise is extraordinarily simple. It's about 2 middle school students who sit next to each other in class, Nishikata and Takagi. Takagi-san is constantly teasing and making fun of Nishikata, and he always tries to get back at her. During these episodes, we follow a back and forth between these characters in a variety of situations, where Nishikata is always trying to get one up on Takagi, and well, they know, never quite manages it. He wears all of his emotions on his face, which is a complete joy to watch animation-wise. The facial expressions are pure comedy in and of itself, but the show is charmingly funny. And it is a fine example of great character chemistry. You can argue, and I will stand with you in that camp, that the one-sided teasing can get a little bit repetitive, but in my opinion it's not boring in its repetition, due massively to the 2 lead voice actors. Takagi, played by Rie Takahashi, who you may know as Miss Explosion herself, Megumin from Konosuba, and Yuki Kaji, known for perhaps the greatest role in anime history. Banana. And while this show isn't some perfect mind-blowing masterpiece, it was everything that I wanted it to be, and perhaps even a little bit more. It's a fun, vibrant, cheerful show that may make you smile and crack a laugh or two. But if you're watching this and thinking, joy god, that's so overrated, I want to feel the cold embrace of sadness in my heart, then boy do I have the anime for you.
私は自動式人形に不適格でしょうか。それは私もあなたのことは聞いていません。向いてないわ。第一、あなたどうしてこの仕事がいいのよ。愛してるを知りたいのです。
It's been a long time since I truly cried at an anime. The most memorable time for me was watching Your Lie in April back in the day, but I found myself getting very upset during certain moments in Violet Evergarden. Although it was never to do with Viola herself, but rather the stories she experienced on her own personal journey to understand what it means to say I love you. Violet was once a weapon used solely for the purpose of killing in the Great War, under the command of Gilbert God damn it, Japan and your love of foreign complex names. When the war ends, Violet returns home alone and is wounded in hospital. When she heals, she seeks work at the CH Postal Service, a company run by one of Gilbert's close friends. It's there that she takes on the role of an auto-memory doll, whose purpose is to write letters for those who cannot write or cannot express their feelings using their own words. This is not a job suited for someone as automated and robot-like as Violet. She is your typically untypical kundere. But she takes on the job and travels the country hearing one person's story to the next. Whether it's a tragic tale or a happy ending, each snippet into the lives of others feels like a real experience, which won't surprise you if you've watched anything by Kyoto Animation. They're arguably one of the best animation houses in the world, and even if you don't like how they construct their stories, you can't deny that their animation style is second to none, and that is no different with Violet Evergarden. This piece of paper is more beautiful than anyone will ever be ever. However, its slow beginning is likely to put people off. Viola as a character in the beginning is incredibly unendearing, the story isn't flashy, and it does suffer greatly from pacing issues in the first 6 episodes. However, from episode 7 onwards we watch the second arc that develops Violet's character and helps us understand more about the state of the world that she is living in. Episode 10 in particular is a fantastic example of great direction, and as a whole will stick with me long after this series is finished. I was sobbing throughout the whole thing, and it's a key testimony to how good this series can be. But you have to take the positives with the negatives. It teeters on the edge of a masterpiece, and unfortunately doesn't quite hit the mark. That being said, whether you're a fan of narrative drama or not, I do believe that everyone should give this show a try, so that you can understand just the kind of beauty that Kyoto Animation brings to the world. And beauty can be found in simplicity, which is the perfect way to describe my number 3 slot.
そんな店長だからです。それから本当に飛ぶことを諦めたツバメはきっと空を見上げることも忘れてしまうでしょうから。
After the Rain is a prime example of an anime that suffers from its description, and yet within the first episode doesn't remotely follow the tone that you expect. Centering on our main character, Akira Tachibana, who has taken a part-time job at the Garden Cafe after suffering a foot injury forcing her to quit the track team. She takes on the job because she has fallen in love with Kondo, the manager who works there. Immediately you think this could take a dip into the ecchi pool, but rather what you have in 12 episodes is one of the most mature and beautiful seinen animes I've ever seen. It's no spoiler to say that Tachibana confesses her feelings very early on in the show's run, so straight away we're not playing on the whole will they, won't they arc of a lot of romance animes. Instead you have Kondo and Tachibana growing, and both coming to their own realisations as the show progresses. Tachibana finding a place for herself outside of the track team, and Kondo discovering his youth through his literary hobbies. Both of them, without realising it, help each other to develop as people, and that's really what this show is about. It has the overarching theme of romance, but really aside from the confession and Tachibana's love-ordered glances every now and again, there isn't traditional romance to speak of. In the end, you don't find yourself, or I certainly didn't find myself, watching this anime hoping for a spark to ignite between them, but rather for the quiet moments found in the rain. Each of our big scenes between our two leads happen during some form of rainy encounter. Whether that be a storm or a drizzle, both of them come out of the situation slightly differently. After the Rain. Genius piece of scripting there, Isla. After the Rain is a show that says, don't judge me by my watercolours, directed by the man who brought us Doraemon and composed by the woman who gave us Noragami. It is a quiet, unassuming page-turner, right up until its final moments. But there is nothing remotely unassuming about my number 2 pick.
僕も早く戦いたいな。
02はなんで巨竜と戦うの？いつも楽しそうに見えるから理由があるのかなって。
理由か。僕が化け物だからかな。
When I started writing the script for this video, I wanted to talk in depth about all the reasons as to why I think Darling in the Franxx is the best piece of work Studio Trigger has ever produced. I wanted to talk about the humanity of the characters in this otherwise alien dystopian future, and how the character development is constantly evolving through truly outstanding scripting. I wanted to express my admiration for director Asushi Nishigori and how he cleverly crafts his world building into a story without making it feel forced. I wanted to talk specifically about Ichigo and how she's not your typical rejected best friend character, but rather she handles rejection in a real way, rarely seen in anime. I plan to explore the other characters and how it feels like a cast of mains rather than supports, and I have so much to say about the music and the animation and the world itself and the story and how brilliant the dub is and the voice acting and the sub and just everything. But really, if I'm honest with myself, if I'm 110% honest with myself, the real reason that I love Darling in the Franxx so much is because whenever 02 says darling, either in the sub or the dub, I feel like my soul is leaving my body.
僕のダーリンだ。ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリンのエッチ。ダーリンのダーリンとダーリンに。ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン、ダーリン。
Ah, she is the very definition of waifu for life, and now let's move on before I literally have a heart attack. And like I said at the beginning of this video, I think the winter 2018 anime slate has been amazing. It brought me back to the original 90s anime that sparked off my love for this genre in the first place. It took me to camp in the Moi Moi wilderness, and it broke my heart in the English countryside. It stopped time on a Monday, and it brought back nostalgia on a Sunday. It was violent, it was cute, but most importantly, it made me realise that I will never stop thinking about Hellshake Yano. However, at the end of the day, there can only be one number one slot, and from the very beginning, there was no competition.
私、みんなと行きたい。みんなと一緒に南極星見つけて、オーロラ見て、かき氷食べて、ペンギンと記念写真撮りたい。絶対行こう。
There isn't enough time in the world for me to put into words or even begin to explain to you just what this anime means to me. A Place Further Than the Universe took me on an unforgettable adventure through 13 expertly crafted episodes that are undeniable proof that short serial anime can tell a story effectively and almost perfectly in a small amount of time. We follow Mari Tamake, a high school student who feels as if she hasn't gotten the most out of her youth, and then cue a chance meeting with a girl called Shirase, who has the unwavering goal to get to Antarctica in order to visit the last place that her mother was seen. Quickly we're introduced to Hinata and Yuzuki, and they make up our quartet of friends, and so our adventure and race to a place furthest from the universe begins. This story isn't about Antarctica itself, but rather the journey that our four girls go on to get there, and it's these girls that make this anime unforgettable. They have their own unique personalities that make them pop from script to screen, expertly characterised by the voice actresses who play them. They bounce off each other in both humour and emotion, and their friendships feel so real, and as a result, as you're watching this sitting on your couch at home, you feel like a fifth character, as very much a part of their adventure as they are. You experience every moment of joy, every second of heartbreak, and every beat in the story as this anime, which is full of emotional scenes, comes to a head in episode 12, that literally, and pretty much figuratively, broke me. As the credits rolled, I had tears streaming down my face, very different from those of Viola Evergarden, because this story, this journey felt too real to me, and yet for something so simple, so elegant, it could only be told as well as it was, through animation. This is why I love anime, for moments like this, for adventures and tales like this, for unbeatable direction, for seamless scripting, for beautiful beginnings and awestruck endings. And you may think, whoa, Isla, you're praising this a lot, that's a bit much, but I base my opinions on anime very much on how it makes me feel. Perhaps A Place Further Than the Universe won't strike a chord with you. Maybe you'll think it plays too much on emotion, and you'll maybe see some indiscrepancies in its story beats, and perhaps you'll even dismiss it as cute girls doing cute things. But for me, this was real girls doing real things. It transcends animation and deserves to find its way onto your watch list. It is by a country mile the best show this season, and took me further than I ever thought it could. And when the OP hits, I'll think back to Tuesday winter nights knowing that the kids are more than alright.